Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a fuel pump. Sorry about the glare, it's pretty bright out here. So we're going to be doing a fuel pump on a 2001 Chevy Suburban. And the problem that I'm having is I can crank it, it just won't start. But I know it's a fuel pump because when I went wheeling on the last video, you can see it. I slammed the bottom of my fuel tank and completely wrecked the fuel pump. So now it's time to replace it. So inside of the truck is a little messy, but let me show you where I'm going to cut because I'm not going to drop the fuel tank. All right, so yes, it's messy. I've hauled a lot of crap for like the garden and everything like that, and went wheeling and just parked it, so it's dirty. But this is underneath the driver's side seat. You're going to see this little hump right here. And your fuel tank is right underneath the driver's side, and your fuel pump sits roughly, I'd say about right here. So what we're gonna do, instead of dropping the fuel tank and dealing with a heavy fuel tank and taking off some driveline straps and everything like that, I'm just gonna cut an access door. Gonna go roughly right along with this beam. So I'm gonna cut right down here, cut across here, and then come straight up. And I'm not going to cut on the passenger side of these little rivets. I'm going to come up to right here and cut to about right there, and I'm going to leave this hooked up. I'm not even going to cut this, so that way I can just fold this whole piece over, replace the fuel pump, and then I'll have to cover it up with well, first I'll spray paint the edges, fold it back down, and then with me I'll probably just use Gorilla tape around the edges and call it good. So I'm gonna get to cutting. Alright, so I forgot to hit record, but this is it right here. So I've made my cuts. As you can see, I went along this whole seam right here, up and over. I made it up over the hump and just a little bit onto it. Left this open, so that way when I fold it, I can fold it back, it'll stay in place, and then cut along this edge. And now all you gotta do is pry this up. It's gonna be a little difficult using one arm. And as you can see, now you got access to your fuel pump. So I'm gonna finish bending this up with two hands because I want to put on some gloves because these edges are really sharp. You don't want to cut yourself. And also, while I was cutting this, you need to be very careful that you don't hit this connection line right here. So don't go too deep. You just barely want to penetrate the surface. That's it. So, all right, so with that bent up, now I just got to take out these two bolts for the cap. Then we can remove the fuel pump, put the new one in, and go from there. All right, so with those two bolts off, we can take this cover off. And now you have access to all your clips. These clips hold on your fuel lines. One's the fuel actually sends it, one's a return line. So now, I'm gonna put on some gloves so that way I don't cut myself. Remember, these edges are really sharp. So the last thing you wanna do is cut yourself. Get that harness up and out of the way. So now we need to get these clips out. And they're just a simple push in, if we can get them both to go. All right, got that one. Now we need to get this other side. Alright, so now that we got both the fuel lines disconnected, now we got this little clip. I'll bring the camera closer. Alright, so there we go. We got our fuel lines disconnected. We got our electrical connectors disconnected. And then right here, there is a ring that we got to slide over so it can clear this pin, that one right there, and that one. And then also you got to be mindful there is a clip right here that you've got to hold out. And some people will grab a penny, which I'll probably do. Alright, so now you can see I have that penny holding back that clip. So now all I'm going to do is grab this flathead, stick it right here, and with the hammer I'm going to slowly tap it and get that ring off. You can see that ring right there, just comes right out. And then with this fuel pump, should start to come out. You got that float you got to worry about. So what I'll do is I'll disconnect the float. So you got the float disconnected. And then I'm gonna empty out the old fuel. Alright, so this one comes with a new gasket. What we need to do is just push this gasket up. And it'll be a lot easier to put it on here first and then just slide the whole thing down. But here's your float. So we need to make sure we get that sensor back on there. Alright, so now I'm going to start dropping this down in. This fuel pump, it's got a little spring on it, so you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll have to push it down and get these grooves lined up. Looks like we got those lined up. And now let's get this guy, this ring, get it on so that way we can hold the fuel pump down. If not, it'll keep springing back up. Get it started. Now what I'm going to do is same thing as taking it off as putting it back on. Alright, so now that fuel pump is on, now what we need to do is get the clips off the old one. Really don't want to break these clips. I don't know where to buy new ones. See if I can get them in there. And it should pop this out.
It smells good, Dad.
Which it didn't, so I'm just gonna pull up on them. Grab both the wings, pull up. Hopefully you don't snap. So now I'm going to slide these clips right here. You can see that clip. Slide it back on to the new pump, and you'll hear it click. And now what we got to do is just connect the fuel line. So you're going to bend it just a little bit to get it in. Make sure these are lined up. And then you'll hear it click. All right, we got both those on. Now do these other connections. And it looks like somebody already replaced this harness right here. So we're gonna see if that's the issue. If not, the kit came with a new harness. So let's go ahead and fire this up and see if she starts. So now the job is complete. It starts up. You heard the fuel pump fire right off. Filled it up, pressurized that line. And then other than that, now all we got to do is put this cap back on, put this down. And I'm not going to show you that because you guys can do that yourself. So, all right, so that's the fuel pump right there. It's not too bad. Let's see if we can get the light out. All right, so the fuel pump I ended up getting, so this is a 2001. The fuel pump is right here. Got it from O'Reilly. You can see that. It's the MPA 33002. And it is a Mastercraft, so hopefully this one will last just as long as the original one, if not longer. But other than that, thank you guys for watching, appreciate it. And if you have any issues with your fuel pump, your truck not starting, give this a shot. And if you don't want to cut a hole in the floor and cover it back up with your flooring and everything, then have fun dropping the tank. Make sure it's empty, but you won't be able to judge that. Anyways, thank you guys, appreciate it. Have a good day.